This week on Tech News Weekly, we get a chat with Mary Jo Foley as we take a look at the Microsoft event, as well as what's going on with Facebook and Zuckerberg. And then, what about trying to quit Google for a year? Coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Weekly, episode 102, recorded Thursday, October 3rd, 2019. This episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Tailor Store. Tailor Store makes high-quality dress shirts that are fully customizable by you. With their exclusive trial price, each new customer gets their dress shirt starting from $39. From the basic essentials to the most high-end details, Tailor Store has got you covered. Go to tailorstore.com/TNW, offer code TNW.
And by Monday.com. Monday.com helps teams manage work and meet deadlines while building a culture of transparency. Manage all your core business activities in one place. Learn more at Monday.com/TNW.
And by Zapier. Zapier connects all your business software and handles the work for you so you can focus on what matters most. Right now through November, go to Zapier.com/TNW for your free 14-day trial. Hello, welcome to Tech News Weekly. This is the show where we sit down with people who are making and breaking the tech news through the week and sharing their perspectives as well on the show. I'm Jason Howell, and you are?
I'm Ant Pruitt.
What's up, Ant? It's good to have you sitting next to me here.
Wow, I get to see you again?
Yeah, again and again and again, wow. And at some point that'll get really old. It'll get really old for you because I'm just kind of a boring guy.
I'm not worthy, trust me.
It's great to have you here. Micah could not join us today. He was helping out with the with Windows Weekly earlier.
Yep.
To help them hammer through things. And we're actually going to talk to Mary Jo Foley from Windows Weekly a little bit later in the show. But we're going to start off with Mark Zuckerberg.
All right. A little bit of Facebook and Zuckerberg. So
that's right.
From FOMO to not enough likes to Cambridge Analytica and now leaked audio of the CEO addressing the team during a meeting. Facebook just can't seem to stay out of the tech news for headlines with negative connotation. The Verge recently published leaked audio from a meeting held at Facebook this week between CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his Facebook staff.
Oh, yeah.
So today we have additional commentary from Mr. Chris Matyszczyk, and I hope I'm not screwing up his name. I already warned him about that. He's over at ZDNet, and has a really fascinating article that he shared. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm very well. You almost messed up my name. Actually, you messed up my name a lot. But honestly, relatively speaking, you did pretty well.
Oh, man.
I'm sure it's the first time that's ever happened. So tell us. So
honestly, it is. And we rehearsed it.
Oh.
I went through it several times and still
screwed it up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I appreciate you joining us today.
Pleasure.
So, again, you have an article over on ZDNet, where basically you talked about Mark Zuckerberg being frustrated because people don't realize how much he cares. Now, what some people need to understand is this article is written with just a little bit of levity because this is a serious situation with all of the news swirling around Facebook. But he likes to provide a little bit of levity to all of this to make it a little more digestible. So let's take a look at with Senator Warren basically going after Facebook and all of the tech companies today and wanting to, break them up and bust them up and make it an even playing ground and a little more competitive and a little more responsible for our privacy and public data that's out there. You care to elaborate on her comments and better yet, the response from Mr. Zuckerberg?
Well, the response was quite startling for someone who is as misunderstood as Mark Zuckerberg. Basically, he said that if Elizabeth Warren even dared to split up Facebook and take away his WhatsApp and take away his Instagram, he'll immediately sue her. Now, of course, she can only do that if she becomes president, which, who knows if that's going to happen. But it's a characteristic reaction from Mr. Zuckerberg because he's absolutely fine with everything until it threatens his own business. And then when it threatens his own business, well, yeah, he's going to get loads of lawyers and lobbyists to try and make sure nothing hurts him.
Of course, of course. And I love how you say his Facebook and his WhatsApp as if it's carrying a couple toys around, and
But it really is. He's kind of positioned it that way over the years to where this is his toy.
so these are billionaire toys, is
yeah,
what we're saying.
basically.
Well, yeah, he has absolute power.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to vote him out. There's nothing anyone can do to vote him out as long as he's delivering loads of money for the shareholders. He has absolute power. So he is in many ways a little bit of an emperor of Facebook. And unfortunately, occasionally it's obvious that he's actually got no clothes on. But, what can you do about it? No one can actually do anything about it until the law catches up, if it ever will, with the amount of power, concentration of power that Facebook actually has.
Now, some of the additional audio that it showed where he fought back about the perception. There's mention of the contractors that Facebook uses to do the moderation of some of the questionable content that comes through Facebook. And Zuckerberg says he dug into it and thinks, I think it might have been a little bit overblown. But at the same time, there's a perception issue with Facebook. Do you agree that there's a perception issue, or is it just really, it is what it is in black and white? This is a serious problem.
It's obviously both, but you've got a situation here where someone in that all-staff meeting actually asked him and said, Mark, what should I do when people say Facebook is a horrible company? What can I tell them? And he said, well, in order to gain their trust, what you have to explain to them is that Facebook has their best interests at heart. Yes, just like your mum and dad, who always tell you, no, yes, I'm going to take away your toys, but I'm only doing it for you. So in fact, Mark Zuckerberg potentially is one of the great altruists. And this is a serious issue, because if he has that perception of himself and his company, there is a vast gap now between what's actually happened, as you mentioned, with Cambridge Analytica and quite a few other little security snafus, and the perception that he appears to have, which is that Facebook is this inordinately altruistic, community-minded, open and connected organization that it's doing it for you. And it's doing it for you. It's for you, Jason. It's for no one else. It's for you.
Thank you. It used to be for me. I'm no longer on Facebook, so it's not for me anymore. One question I have about this, though, is kind of reading through some of the transcripts and listening to some of the audio. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there. Obviously, this was recorded at an event that Zuckerberg has participated in hundreds of times with the company. Very transparent, very open. Never had to worry up until now about audio of these events leaking. So, like I said, he's very transparent. But so it's easy to like zero in on some of the things that he said and realize that it maybe goes counter, or maybe he's got a different tenor in this presentation than he does when he's public facing, when he's talking to Congress or whatever it is out in the public. Much of what he said, though, like you would kind of assume a CEO would feel that way of any company, right? Like much of what he said is in the interest of protecting Facebook in the long run. And that's what shareholders would actually want. Is that not right?
I think that's true. But of course, the other side of the fact that the audio leaked suggests that within the company, one way that people believe that others outside the company should hear and learn about Facebook is to leak the audio.
Right.
That is a new thing in Facebook. Zuckerberg has always been incredibly controlled and controlling about ensuring, in one way or another, the trust of his employees. So it's ironic that he's explaining to the employees how they can get other people to trust them and Facebook, while at the same time, one of his employees is showing that perhaps they don't trust Mark Zuckerberg as much as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. They don't trust Zuckerberg in-house.
Well, they leaked the audio.
If they're leaking the audio. Yeah, and I guess that's a really big question then, too, is now that door is open, is this going to happen more? I would guess that, we're probably going to hear more of these things, possibly. But is that going to change Zuckerberg's participation? I know something similar to this happened with Google, And the folks at Google, they just stopped appearing at their all hands, because I'm assuming related to that, right? Once you've got people on the inside that are willing to leak this stuff, then it's kind of like that trust is broken and you don't go there anymore.
Yeah, I wonder what the next week's going to be like, or the next quarterly meeting, if they have it, something like that.
There'll be pat downs at the door.
Something.
Yeah. Something
Well, actually, it may be. And next time there's one of these meetings, who would be surprised if he took everyone's phone away before the meeting started, so that nothing could be recorded, that anything that could come out could only be hearsay, as opposed to what this audio was, which was the real thing. The Emperor speaks.
Place your phones in the bowls, people.
Yeah.
But you know what? That would just make people even more upset. Be like, well, now you don't trust us.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
well,
There's always a flip side on that. There's always a flip side.
Indeed.
Now, I used Facebook for probably about a year, and then I stopped using it because I wanted to try to leverage it from marketing standpoint with my small business, and I absolutely got nothing out of it. That's the only reason why I dropped it. I got nothing out of it. But you are going to see people today, whether it's here at the network or out in other tech pundits and so forth, they're usually advising folks to get off of Facebook and just let it go because they don't trust Facebook for whatever reason. Now, I'm just going to put you on the spot, Chris. Do you trust Facebook?
I only trust my wife.
Okay.
And she's great. She's a scientist, she's a very serious person. She does amazing work. For me, I've never trusted Facebook. In 2010, when Mark Zuckerberg came out and said he knew, above all people, that all human beings did not want privacy. This was something he already knew. So he was going to make sure they'll sacrifice it for Facebook's profit. He actually went out and said that. So ever since that time, I never went on Facebook anyway in my real name. Incredibly, you can do that, Right. And then all I had was a business page like you, Ant, where all I did was have the tweets from Twitter sent automatically to Facebook. And when Twitter stopped that, I stopped that. Right. And I've not been back at all. There probably is some lurking, perhaps misspelled name of mine out there.
Impossible. Impossible.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I've never participated because I like Twitter because it's so open and public. I did Instagram for a little bit, and then I just got bored of posting pictures of my dinner. And I don't need it. I don't find that I need it at all. So trusting Facebook? No, I've never trusted Facebook.
Not even close. All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Mr. Chris, and just sharing your beautiful, awesome insights and levity to this serious matter. Where can we find you online? Where can folks find you? I know where to find you on Twitter, but where
Technically
can our listeners
Correct
find you?
on ZDNet. That's where you can find me.
Technically Incorrect. A pretty awesome column. Thank you again, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure
Thanks,
talking with you today.
Thank you.
And we are big fans of ZDNet because up next, Mary Jo Foley is going to offer her opinions on the new Microsoft hardware. So it's like a ZDNet 1-2 punch today. But first, this episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Taylor Store. Taylor Store, this stuff is really cool here. If you want to look good, if you want to wear clothes that make you look good, high quality clothes. That's what Taylor Store is all about. It's all online. The process is fascinating. They offer high quality, made to order dress shirts for both men and women that are fully customizable and tailored to your measurements. As a 100% carbon neutral business, Taylor Store challenges the traditional fashion industry with its new ways of purchasing clothes. Ready-made garments, off-the-rack sizes, they have no place in the modern world. I'm 6'8" tall. I know this firsthand personally. People are individuals. Taylor Store embraces individualism and knows that everybody has a different fit. Everybody has a different size and wear and all that stuff. There are virtually endless options to choose from. They have a selection of finished designs that can be purchased directly or used as a starting point for your own customization. Their perfect fit guarantee takes away the risk of ordering. If your shirt does not fit as you like, they will remake it for free. Just snap a couple of pictures of you wearing the shirt. They make the necessary adjustments, and they send you a new shirt promptly at no cost. And there are no returns, which means the faulty shirt is yours to keep, or you can choose to give it to charity. I know this because that happened with me. I did the sizing, and everything was great, except it was just a little loose in the body. So I took a couple of pictures of it, sent the pictures back to them, and they ended up sending me a brand new shirt. Like a few days later, I got it. It fits perfectly. And it's just amazing. I love it when you don't have to enter things.
Magical algorithm.
Taylor Store has a Size Me app, which revolutionizes the measurement process using advanced technology and algorithms. You don't need a tape measure or any of those hassles. You just download the app, and then you let their algorithm precisely calculate your clothing measurements. It takes just seconds, and that whole process is cool. Using your phone, it's like it scales up, and it's kind of crazy how well it works. Right out of the box. Now, gone are the days when custom-made to measure shirts were an item of luxury. Wherever you are, look and feel your very best in perfect fit clothes made only for you by Taylor Store. And the best part is you get to help build them. You get to customize them to your taste, and it's just a fun process. With their exclusive trial price, each new customer gets their dress shirt starting from only $39. That's 50% off the regular price. Go to taylorstore.com/TNW with offer code TNW, and you can get yours to check it all out. You'll also get free shipping. Terms and conditions apply. That's taylorstore.com/TNW with offer code TNW. Experience the unrivaled fit and comfort of Taylor Store's hand-picked fabrics for yourself, like I did. We thank Taylor Store for their support. So unless you were hiding under a rock, which is very possible, you might know The Rock and be hiding underneath him. Microsoft held a major product event yesterday, and you were on set here with Micah Sargent to cover it for Twit.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes, early in the morning. Another bright and bushy-tailed person was at the event, Mary Jo Foley, host of Windows Weekly, writer for All About Microsoft at ZDNet. You got the full skinny of all the announcements in the place. Welcome to the show, Mary Jo.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yes, I'm very not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed right now. I'm really tired, but
yeah, these last couple of days have been a challenge, huh?
Yeah, they have.
From one thing to another. So actually, you guys just finished recording this week's episode of Windows Weekly. Normally, you would have recorded it yesterday, but because of the announcement, you recorded it this morning. So I should say right off the top, if folks want to hear more than what you're going to tell us here, which is probably an abbreviated version of what you saw, they should definitely check that out. twit.tv/WW for Windows Weekly. What were your expectations leading into this event? Was like with Google events, I'm used to everything being 100% leaked before it ever happens. Did Microsoft do a better job of keeping a lid on most things?
Up until pretty close to the event, they did an okay job. But then Ev Leaks, that guy.
He's solid. He's too good.
He got all the pictures. I should say we knew pretty well what kind of Surface devices were going to be announced for the near term. So we knew there was going to be an AMD Surface. We knew there was going to be a Qualcomm one. We knew there was going to be a refresh on Surface Pro. So we knew the categories, but we didn't actually have the photos until a couple days before the event, and Ev Leaks got them all.
And boom.
So all that got out there. We also were pretty sure we were going to see the long rumored thing that we've been calling Centaurus, the book-like device. Looks like the old Courier that Microsoft almost launched years ago. So we knew that was coming too, but we had not seen it in person or in pictures. So that was somewhat of a reveal. But, the big one was the Android phone from Microsoft.
Okay, so explain that a little bit. So is this big because people truly didn't see it coming, or is it big because it's a revolutionary device? I do all about Android here on the Twit network, so obviously the minute I saw that headline, my ears perked up. I'm like, okay, content. And I think it's a really neat looking device. We got a lot of foldables happening. Like, what makes it such a big device from the show, from the reveal?
Well, I'm trying to think when this was, May 2019 or so. Paul and I talked on Windows Weekly about the fact that we had both heard a crazy rumor that Microsoft might make an Android phone. We were both like, yeah, sure, right. And so we kind of just dismissed it, And then when they did their one more thing moment at the show, it was like the event was over and then they were like, oh, we got one more device. And they didn't say right away it was Android, right? They showed it, and it looked just like a scaled down version of the notebook kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, I was looking at the pictures, and I'm like, wait, it's running the Google Play Store. Wait a minute, this is Android. And I'm like, well, so they did do the Android device. So I think that the fact that Microsoft actually felt like they still should make a phone, and that it shouldn't be a Windows phone, but it should be an Android phone, was a pretty big deal.
Did Microsoft make much of much around the fact that it was running Android on stage? Like Samsung does a really good job the last however many years of never once saying Android, even though everything is built on Android.
They didn't say much of anything other than seeing a tweet from from Pinos. I can never pronounce his name, but he tweeted it like right after the fact that, hey, thanks for working with us, Hiroshi. It was a pleasure. You know?
Oh, by the way, small asterisk, running Android.
I know. Yeah. So I guess, again, the part that you have to think about is Microsoft has this partnership with Samsung that they just unveiled a whole new piece of at Samsung Unpacked recently, where it's like, hey, Samsung is on the Galaxy Note 10 is going to have all this Microsoft software. So I guess a lot of us thought, since they have that partnership in place, maybe they're all set on Android, right? And they don't need to make their own Android device. But the fact that they still think they need to have something in the phone space, but this time are coming at it a little more realistically, because basically it's an iOS or Android world. And if you want to make a phone, your choice is Android. Yeah. That it just feels like Microsoft being practical, right?
Right. And I mean, that's a big kind of hallmark of this current era of Microsoft, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Is that practicality and just kind of coming down to earth a little bit, and
practical,
and that's working for them.
Practical and software as a service. That's all I've ever seen, and it works for them. They know where their bread is buttered, if you will. Yeah, and it just works for them. You know,
yeah,
it does
indeed. And so then,
but the crazy thing, right? You've got all these people who, number one, either are Windows Phone fans who are still holding on to Windows phones, even though Microsoft has said to them, you know what, we're not doing that anymore. They wanted it to be a Windows device, right? So yesterday they were just like screaming, like, it's Android? Are you kidding me? Are you sure? Are you positive? It's Android? And then you have the other people who are like, I don't trust Microsoft to make a phone because look what they did with Nokia, right? Mm-hmm. And look what they did with Windows Phone. And now they're going to try it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and after they had said like, the phone thing, like, that's not working for us, we're getting out. And then they get back into it. It's like, I don't even know who to trust anymore. But yeah, this seems like the logical direction for me. So then what are you most excited about, the Surface Neo or the Duo? Is it the Duo because of the portability? And why do they refuse to call it a phone?
Yeah, good question. It was funny. Yes. So when Panos even announced it, he's like, you could call it a phone. You could call it a unified communications device. I'm like, guys, it's a phone. You just showed somebody answering a phone.
Right. You should call it those things.
It's a phone.
Yeah.
So I'm a current Android phone user, so I'm somewhat interested, but I'm scared of buying anything that Microsoft makes that's a phone, I have to say.
Okay.
Neo, the one that's more like the book, it looks really cool, but what is it for? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I have a laptop and I have a phone. So what is this like third device, mystery third category, going to do for me that my two devices can't do now?
Right.
Did the Neo not have LTE in it? I thought it had LTE.
It does. It does have LTE in it.
So again, you still have that market of the traveling sales representative or marketing people that could find some good use out of this, especially when it comes to doing demos and presentations on a much larger screen, and it's all on one device.
True. That's true. Like, if you don't make a ton of phone calls, or maybe you want to use those Surface earbuds for some reason and make a call and use that with your little Neo device, maybe that would work out instead of having to carry a laptop and a phone, right?
Yeah, the Surface Buds, you mentioned those. Did I see that there's Office integration with the earphones? Was that a joke? So explain how that works. Of course there's Office integration, I guess, is my punchline. Of course there is, but how?
Yeah. So what they said at the event is the earbuds are going to be integrated with Teams, which makes a lot of sense because you can use Teams to make calls, right? But also PowerPoint. So say you're doing a presentation and you want to advance the slide, you could just kind of touch your ear instead of having to mess with the clicker, I guess. And they also showed some integration with transcription, which would that actually I thought was pretty cool. So if you're doing things in one language and you need to translate them on the fly, you can do that via the earbuds. That I'm like, okay, that's very interesting and sort of makes it worth the $250 price, but they're so ugly.
They're a little bit large.
Well,
like the largest earplugs in the world.
was it Miss Higginbotham yesterday that said, maybe that size is perfect because you don't have any confusion of, am I on a phone?
Yeah.
Or
it announces to the world that you've got something in your ear.
Something's in my ear. I'm probably not listening to you right now. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm busy right now. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And then you have the more kind of I would say the more traditional things from the announcement, from the event, the Surface Pro 7, the Surface Pro X. Anything stand out for you on those devices?
So I'm very interested in the concept of the Surface Pro X because my needs as a laptop user are something really thin, really portable, really light, and really great battery life. And because it's based on Qualcomm and it's an ARM device, it, in theory, could have those things for me. But the problem for me is I use my laptop on my lap a lot, and this is in the traditional like pro type design where it has the kickstand, right? So for me, that's not really great using it on my laptop. It falls over a lot. And no, I don't have really short legs.
But didn't he post a photo of it having perfect lappability?
I post those all the time.
We need to see real world is what you're saying. When I saw that picture, it looked like it was a lot larger when you see it in the photograph. It almost looked like maybe a 12-inch laptop, if you will.
I think 13-inch screen, right? 12-inch chassis with 13 inches because of how small the bezels are or something like that. So I'm interested in that device in theory just because it has all the mobility things that I really want. I also would love to retry the Surface Laptop 3 because I got to try the first generation Surface Laptop and I didn't really love it. I thought it was okay. But the 3, there are two different models. One's 15-inch screen, one's the 13.5, and the 15-inch has an AMD processor. The other one has Intel. So I'm always on the quest for the perfect laptop, and I like clamshells more than I like 2-in-1s. So, in theory, I would like to try that one out and just give it a whirl.
Yeah, I'd agree with the clamshell over 2-in-1. I had my time with the Pixel Slate. And it also had the problem that you're talking about, Mary Jo, where it's just a little too long to be lappable, even though you would consider it a laptop kind of solution. So, so you and Paul Thurrott talked all about this, along with Micah, who was on the show with you this morning. So folks who want to get the full take, your full take on all these devices and a whole lot more should check out this week's episode of Windows Weekly. That's twit.tv/WW. To check that out. Mary Jo, anything else you want to leave people with? They can follow your work or anything you're working on right now?
Anybody who wants to follow my work, go to allaboutmicrosoft.com. And I would say if you're really interested in the operating system that's going to be powering the foldable and dual screen devices, I wrote a very long, like an FAQ style article about what is Windows 10X.
Yes.
I would recommend that to everybody.
Absolutely. Definitely check it out. There's a lot of detailed information in there on that, as expected. Mary Jo, you're awesome. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope that your life calms down now that you've kind of gotten out of the tornado.
Same.
All right. Talk to you soon, Mary Jo. Thank you.
All right. Up next, how one man eliminated Google from his life for a year. But first, we want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, and that's Monday.com. This episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Monday.com. Monday.com not only helps teams manage work and meet deadlines, but it also builds a culture of transparency to work better together. Manage all your core business activities in one place, from high-level roadmaps to specific day-to-day tasks. Join over 65,000 teams already getting things done with Monday.com. Monday.com is easy to use. Build a board from scratch and choose from a selection of templates and tailor it to your team's workflow. Automate your workflows with reminders and notifications. Upload files directly from your computer, Dropbox, Google Drive. Monday.com is perfect for any team, suitable for any size, from 2 freelancers working together or to thousands collaborating across the globe. Popular among teams, often replacing burdensome Excel files, whiteboards, and excessively long meetings, Monday.com keeps you on track. Create accountability by assigning owners to keep track of who's doing what. Never miss a deadline with the My Week feature and the personal assistant for you and your team. Stay in control anywhere you go with Monday.com's mobile app.
And did you know, I've talked with Micah about this. He's actually been using Monday.com to share to share iOS Today kind of templates and build the show around it as well. He's really putting it to the test on iOS Today. So a good tool
That's
for
gotta be
kind
a
of
good tool, because how do you keep Leo Laporte organized?
well, that is one of the big challenges. Maybe Monday.com promises that it can keep Leo on task.
Definitely.
I don't know that they do.
So to learn more about Monday.com, so go on over and get your 14-day free trial. So go to Monday.com/TNW. That's Monday.com/TNW for your free 2-week trial. We thank Monday.com for their support of our show.
Yeah, thank you, Monday.com. I'm a sucker for stories where people are willing and then able to step away from Google in their digital lives. Not necessarily because I want to do it myself.
Not
though
me,
it would be
cat.
fascinating and I'd imagine frustrating in many ways. But yeah, I'd be interested in trying it, but so much of my job is built around it. But because Google is entrenched in nearly everything we touch on the internet, so how the heck is it even possible? Well, our next guest proves that it is possible. Nithin Coca wrote a piece for 10 chronicling his year without Google, and he joins us now. Welcome, Nithin.
Wow.
Hello, glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. So let's begin with the why. I'm sure there's an interesting reason behind why you might want to step away from Google. Why would you embark on such a bold quest?
It's wasn't as interesting of a reason as expected. I just wanted to see if it was possible at first. I had a Google account for 13 years, and it controlled so much of my life. And I just realized I'd become so dependent on one company for so many things. So it was just an experiment, and it kind of turned into something a lot bigger, because it was way more difficult than I expected, and there wasn't many resources out there to help you figure out how to switch from all these various services to alternatives. So what started as a simple thought experiment turned into a quest to do something that really very few non-tech people had done before.
Yeah. I know that I've read articles from Kashmir Hill, who has done something similar to this in the past. I mean, going deep as far as not just not using services, but working out ways on a technical level to prevent Google from creeping in all these other directions. How deep did you go here? Was it just I'm not going to use Google Maps anymore, or holy cow, Google is everywhere. I've got to figure out how to get it entirely out of my life.
Yeah, I set my goal as something a little simpler than I wanted to close my Google account.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get to a point where I had all my information, all my data, my contacts on different services, that I could close my account and not suffer immensely.
Yeah.
I thought it would take me a month or two. It ended up taking me 6 months to get to the point where I felt comfortable making that switch.
Oh
wow.
Man. Oh, that's painful.
So yeah, and I'm not surprised at all. I'm amazed that you could even do it in 6 months, because once you think, I'm sure it's the kind of thing where you think you've got it all, and then you realize this other thing is it's either looping into a service that Google provides, or holy cow, I didn't realize that actually is a Google property.
Right.
I mean, they're just everywhere.
They are. It's not like the whole Facebook. They have their fingers on everything we touch, one way or another.
That's how it feels. So what do you think was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest roadblock for you? Be it replacing a service that you relied on. I mean, maybe that's Gmail, but I feel like there's a decent amount of other, alternative email out there. What was the one thing that you were just man, this is the hard, I can't leave you, Google, because of this one thing. I can't quit.
Yeah, the hardest thing actually didn't directly have to do with Google. I'll give credit to the company. They make it pretty easy for you to take your data out.
Yeah.
Data portability. And they do it in open format, so you can actually switch it to other services. So that's fine. It's more the social aspect. Changing my email address turned out it was a lot more difficult, because a lot of services out there, like banks, other kind of online accounts that I tied to my email address, they didn't even have the functionality to change your email easily, or they would continue sending emails to your old one even after I told them I switched. So it's like getting to the point where, of course, with friends, you can send a mass email saying you've changed your email, but 6 months later, they're still emailing your old one because that's what is automatic on their Google accounts. So it's like getting to that point where people knew that I quit Google and all my accounts had been set up to the point where I knew they weren't going to send something important to a closed email address. That was the hard part, surprisingly.
So less about something that you have direct control over and more about other people's habits. It's just hard to untrain everybody that your Gmail is no longer applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to ask a question. There's some things you didn't have control over, but with regards to the social side of it, have you found yourself in a position of, evangelizing for getting off of the Google services to your friends and family? Do they care? What's the thoughts?
Yeah. I don't try to push people too much because I really one of the reasons I wanted this experiment was to show how difficult it is. And by showing how difficult it is, I kind of bring up a bigger question, it shouldn't be this difficult to stop using the products of one company.
Yeah.
If we consider the digital space to be one of competition and openness, it shouldn't take 6 months. It shouldn't become such a burden. So I tell people maybe try using a different search engine, try testing a different email service. There's some good ones out there. But I don't really try to push people very much because I think that's focusing on the individual choice as the problem is not really the problem. The problem is not that people aren't choosing to use Google products or not choosing to use Google products. The problem is that people don't have a choice. Yeah. Most of the time.
Yep. And we're seeing at least part of this play out in both the EU and now in the US, where regulators are saying, hey, it really does seem in certain ways people don't have a choice. And that's, is that okay? Is it fine the way it is, or do there need to be changes? So what would you say then are some of your kind of more, favorite, let's say, alternatives to what Google offers for the things that you relied on before? I know for me, navigation would be a really hard one for me to let go of Google for, because Google Maps and navigation, I use it so much, and I know there are alternatives, but I trust it. It would be really hard for me to step away. What are some of your favorite alternatives?
Yeah, I really enjoy Proton Mail, which was one of the first things I switched to for email, and it has a very Gmail-like functionality. Mm-hmm. I eventually, after a struggle, I found a really good calendar tool using Fastmail as a secondary email and as a calendar, and it actually works really well for me because it had some cool functionality for multiple time zones that Google didn't really have, at least when I was using it. Mm-hmm. And then I love Nextcloud. Once I got it to set up to a place, it's a self-hosted kind of Google Drive alternative, and once I got it set up to a place where I can integrate it with all my, with my tablet, with my phone, it works really well, and it allows me to more directly sync. And I can also send people password protected sharing files. So if I want to share a file for someone for 1 week, I can set up a password, share it with them, and they have it for a week, and then it gets automatically back to my encryption. So there have been some that are really good. Navigation is one that's challenging. Mm-hmm. I found good alternative map apps like Here and Maps.me, but they don't work globally. So I have to keep switching in different countries, and that's kind of frustrating.
That is frustrating. Yeah.
Now, see, what you're mentioning there is one of the reasons someone like me, I can't get off, is because Google makes a lot of this stuff super easy.
Yeah.
It's granted they made it easy for you to pull your data down, but they also make it really easy to just use day-to-day stuff, and it's almost second nature.
Yeah. Yeah, especially after all of this time using it and getting used to it and all that kind of stuff. It's that thing called lock-in, that nasty thing called lock-in.
You got me.
It's the biggest challenge. Well, Nithin, I'm fascinated by stories like yours and also hopeful, because I think there are a reasonable amount of people out there who might feel that, not just Google, there are a lot of companies that have a lot of integration into our lives, and we're just a little more aware right now, I think, about okay, but what is the greater cost of this? Am I getting enough for all of this data that I'm giving you for free? Are those free services worth the exchange? And there are alternatives. So I appreciate that you took the time to write this up and to join us today to talk about it. Nithin Coca, where can people follow you online and follow your work?
Yeah, I'm still on Twitter, and you can just Google. I guess I shouldn't say Google. You can DuckDuckGo my name. I'm the only Nithin Coca in the world, and you should be able to find my stuff.
Right on. Cool. And you can find this piece at 10.medium.com. Thank you so much, Nithin. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. All right, up next, we have a couple of stories of the week. But first, this episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Zapier. Growing a business is hard. If you've ever tried to grow a business, you know this already. You don't want to be wasting hours every day moving data from emails to spreadsheets to your CRM to wherever you happen to need it to go. It should just kind of happen. In a perfect world, that's the way it would be. Zapier can help. Zapier has over 1,500 apps and is the easiest way to automate your work so you can focus on what matters most. You can connect all your business software to do a number of things. Engage your leads instantly. You can automatically import new customers, notify your team about opportunities that might be there. Zapier is also more customizable. They support multi-step zaps. So really, step after step after step in this automation process, the possibilities are virtually endless. You can build the solution that you need in minutes, super easy to do. No more wasting your time on tasks that you know could be automated. Maybe you've done something a million times and it's a step-by-step process, and then you suddenly realize that Zapier is a way to automate that. You already know the steps. That's exactly what Zapier was built to do. You just go to zapier.com/TNW, connect the apps that you use the most, and then let Zapier take it from there. Best of all, it's easy to build the exact solution that you need in minutes without writing code or without asking a developer for help. It kind of makes you the developer in this sense, the developer of the Zap, and it gives you a little bit more control and power that way. Join more than 4.5 million people who are saving an average of 40 hours per month by using Zapier. We actually have a Zap that, again, Micah, he's so crafty with this stuff. He actually created a Zap to transfer prompter copy to the teleprompter. Much easier than it's been. I, for years, have had this multi-step process, totally manual process of having to cut and paste and move it over here and then download as a text file. And I won't give you the reasons why that multi-step process is, but I'll just say it just is. And Micah's Zap actually places it into the proper folder. It moves things automatically. It just basically makes it like a one tap and go sort of thing. So, it allows us to get the show started on time mostly, so that's good. I think everyone can appreciate that. Make more time to grow your business. Right now through November, try Zapier for free by going to zapier.com/TNW. That's zapier.com/TNW, and you'll get your free 14-day trial. Zapier.com/TNW, and we thank Zapier for their support.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into our stories of the week, shall we?
Yeah, indeed. Let's do it. What you got?
Man, I tell you, these big tech companies, they just can't stay out of the limelight. What are they doing?
I know. Our show probably wouldn't be our show if they didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Well, so we have Google working with contractors. They're such a large company. They have contractors. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're using contractors to target homeless people to help set up the facial recognition software that you're going to find in the Pixel 4. I'm not so sure what I think about that, but at the same time, I know that these AI systems have to be used and have to be, well, not used, but have to be trained by someone at the company. The Verge reported this on their site and dug deeper into this. But essentially, we have these contractors that were told, hey, we need to get this AI in place. We need to get this AI better than what it's been doing. Previously, the facial recognition would struggle with recognizing darker skinned people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is. You'd get certain instances where people were noticed as a gorilla or something, mm-hmm. or as I saw on This Week in Google about 2 weeks ago, a project, if you will, art project that used facial recognition software recognized me as a wrongdoer or a
that was ImageNet roulette, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. And this stuff is pretty big today, and we're trying to get AI to be used in different systems, whether it's law enforcement or just tracking things around our homes and so forth. So again, I get it. We need to train these AI systems, but at the same time, at what lengths are we going? We're walking up to just homeless people and saying, hey, here, just take a picture and let us, figure out how to do this with our AI, and here's $5. You know, you talked about it previously on All About Android, where
and I think we actually talked about it on TNW months ago.
Wasn't it gift cards?
Yeah, they were giving out $5 gift cards to like Starbucks or some other place. But yeah, it was basically we came to the conclusion that your face is worth $5 essentially in the eyes of Google.
No. And they labeled it as if it was a Snapchat or selfie game. That's pretty deceptive, folks.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So the originating article that you're talking about, this follow-up, was posted on the New York Daily News, and that's what The Verge links to. So if folks want to kind of read up all the details, you can go to the New York Daily News and find the article there. I think what's interesting about this article, I have a hard time understanding whether it's Google that made these instructions or whether it's the contractor that was hired by Google. I'm not trying to let Google off the hook, because no matter what, Google is responsible when something like this happens under their watch. But the article doesn't specify exactly who made the call. From what I could gather, it sounds like Google hired contracting companies to have contractors go out and take these pictures. And from what I could read, it almost feels like Google said, hey, we need pictures, and then gets out of the way and says, I don't care how you get them, just get them. And then the contractor company says, all right.
For liability, right?
Absolutely. No, it's totally enough for liability. It is, it's pretty bad. Like, basically what they're talking about here is completely misidentifying or misinforming what this is even for to begin with. Because the article a few months ago, the person that was approached, I think he worked for the ZDNet, was the first article that we saw. He was informed correctly from what I could gather.
Right.
He was told this is for, helping to train our facial recognition software on future phone. That's what they would say. But in this article, they're saying if you target homeless people, they are less likely to go to the press. And
that's where they lost.
It's like,
me
no,
there.
Don't do that. That's a really bad idea, especially it's a bad idea, one, but especially in this day and age of the optics being so sharp right now on literally everything. Like, really bad idea. So, and you're right, liability falls on Google for that.
Okay, so now I'm going to put my Google hat on just for a minute.
Yeah.
So Google says, we got to figure out a way to get these images and train this software, but we know there's going to be pushback. What is the best thing that we can do? What else could Google do here?
Employees. I mean, honestly, I don't know.
That's where I was going.
Okay,
employees.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it right.
They got a lot of employees. That's one way to do it.
Thousands of employees in that office, and this is going to sound crass, and so I apologize ahead of time. I know there's some brown-skinned people in that office somewhere.
Yeah.
Why not just petition some of your staff?
Yeah.
Hey, folks, we're trying to make a better product as a team. Let's get together and work on this as a team. You know, can we have some volunteers? I don't know where you've worked in the past, but just about anywhere I've worked, when we had a project and we needed some volunteers, people would
started
volunteer.
Internally. Yeah.
We didn't go outside.
And Google itself is like a small country or a large the number of employees working at Google.
That bugged me right there to no end.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you're going out and being deceptive to the people on the streets. But secondly, you don't want to eat your own dog food in-house.
Yeah.
Isn't that the mantra of Google?
Yeah, I mean, even when this was in the news,
so passionate right now.
It totally is. Dog fooding is a big deal at Google. Even when this was a story a couple of months ago and it didn't involve kind of this stuff that we're talking about right now, I still felt like it was just weird optics.
Yeah.
It was just weird to go up to random people and be like, let me scan your face, just because we don't even know what's happening with that data in the long run. We're told that especially our biometrics and stuff, like, are very valuable information. Like, is that really worth $5? Part of this article is also saying, target college campuses, because that's like the gold mine, because a $5 gift card is like, really valuable to kids on campus, and they might not think about, the ramifications of giving the face scan.
Right.
There is value, though, for people. So otherwise they wouldn't be saying, okay. So, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily feel like it's a blanket bad thing to offer money for a scan of the face. But if they're going out and purposefully misidentifying their rash or the reasons behind the project, or even that it is this project, and painting it as a Snapchat filter, thing.
That's totally.
I mean, they're completely, that's a lie. And
wrong.
that I absolutely cannot get behind.
Yeah. Again, I get it. We need to have these systems trained just to help make it better for, just day-to-day use that we're wanting to up the ante in our consumer technology.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to what length?
Yeah, right. And at what cost? Yeah. Absolutely.
Breathe, Ant, breathe.
All right. You breathe. Because I'm going to go to my story of the week. And look, I don't have a lot to offer on deep insight on this story other than just the worst feeling in the world about what we can all look forward to now that Taboola has agreed to acquire Obrain. And if you aren't familiar with these two names, let me refresh your memory. Say you're visiting a site and you see a small carousel of 100% clickbait links at the bottom, usually accompanied by some intriguing thumbnail that may or may not have anything to do with the title, that is entirely designed to get you to be curious enough to click through. It's almost always junk, empty, vapid content. It just feels wrong, especially when I've looked down there, even though I know full well not to, and come across an article link that really does sound intriguing.
Interesting.
I mean, if the claim is that this underwear will change my life, that's a huge claim. I must know what underwear that is, damn it. So I click on it, and then I realize I'm the problem. So I'm the reason that companies like this exist. Obviously, it's all about ad revenue. These companies aren't hurting in that regard, so they're doing something right, I suppose. It just hurts my brain to see junk get rewarded. Not to mention consolidation in the junk space like this.
You see this stuff every single day, and they're not going anywhere. And they're continuing to grow. So it's working somewhere.
Absolutely
Somebody's
is.
clicking on it.
Well, no, I mean, they've been super successful. I think both of these networks, these ad networks, launched in the mid 2000s, and I mean, they're doing awesome. Taboola supposedly, I don't know that we have the official figures, but supposedly acquired Obrain for $250 million in cash and 30% equity. Obviously, there are questions about, like kind of regulation and stuff. Others in the ad space, big companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, they're facing a lot of scrutiny right now. And these are the two largest recommendation engines in the ad space to merge together. So there might be some scrutiny there, but I just can't imagine the recommendations getting any better.
No.
Because I swear every time I see those carousels, I'm just like, why am I reading this? But, I do want to know what that person is up to now. Why did I do it? I'm just frustrated at myself really more than anything.
I have those moments. Don't feel bad.
Good. It's not just me. You're the problem too. Yeah, I know that you've read Taboola links. I think we've reached the end. We've done it. We've made it, and you did a fantastic job. Ooh. Tech News Weekly publishes every Thursday at twit.tv/TNW. That's where you can go to subscribe to the show in audio and video formats.
You can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnw@twit.tv and follow us all over the social medias. That's at Twit on Twitter. And if you feel like sending me a tweet, just tweet me with ant_Pruitt.
I got that right.
You did.
Okay. The underscore is important. I'm Jason at Jason Howell on Twitter. No underscore. Thanks to John, Jeff, John. Who else was in here? Burke, I think, was in here. Colleen was in here. Everybody was in here.
Yes. Yes.
And thanks to you for watching this week's episode of Tech News Weekly. We'll see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.
All right now. Wait a minute.
Okay, we'll do high
I want
five
to
this
do that
time.
one. That was the legendary one.
There we go.